Grandma's linen closet. Dresser scarves. Mom's house was always decorated with dresser scarves. This one was embroidered by Grandma Marjorie and given to Mom. Mom had it in her home for many years after she got married. It was from a different era where homes were immaculate, windows were covered with lace curtains, where everything had a place and everything was in its place. Baby bloomers. Mom's cedar chest was filled with memories and treasures. She seemed to have something each one of us wore as a baby. This was part of a red dress that Deborah and Lenore wore as babies. The lace block was part of baby bloomers. Mabel Moon. Mabel Moon, a distant cousin of Grandpa Jones, was a one-room schoolhouse teacher. She was very committed to those she loved. She had promised to care for her stepmother and sister and turned down her only marriage proposal to keep the promise. Grandpa Jones was very fond of her and later made the same commitment to care for her, even building her a home and making sure she was provided for until her death. These are pieces from Aunt Mabel Moon's bloomers. Heritage. This is a silk dress from an ancestor of Grandma A's that came across the plains. Our family has been given a rich heritage from our ancestors, including musical talent and promises handed down generationally. It is a legacy to be proud of. Piece of an apron that belonged to Grandma A. Friendship. Aunt Mary Lavery, as a sign of friendship, gave Grandma Marjorie this hanky. More than once I heard the story of how Aunt Mary Lavery, after losing her first two babies, gave Grandma Marjorie her white baby cradle. Grandma was expecting Mom. They lived in Short Creek and barely had anything. Grandpa Ted had made Grandma her own space in their new and very small home. The cradle was a sweet, unexpected luxury. Always stay humble and kind. Grandma grew up in a time of simple beauty, and it's the simple things in life that make life beautiful. You may not have much, so you learn to appreciate what you do have. A clean little dress, open arms, and a warm home. This is a dress cut from a dress Grandma Wido owned when she was a little girl. This is a dresser scarf from Hawaii that Grandpa Jones gave Grandma Wido. These simple things teach us to be humble and kind. For me, Grandma tried to teach the children that a little goes a long way. A hanky from Grandma A. Grandma was always referring to us as snotty little kids. A dresser scarf that belonged to Gigi and was made by Crystal. Grandpa Russell Jones served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. He built homes, roads, and bridges stateside. He wanted to be sent overseas. Finally, he was sent overseas to see the action. On the journey there, much to his disappointment, peace treaties were signed and the war ended. He never got the opportunity to serve in action. These are hankies he sent to his daughter, Marjorie, during his travels. A Queen. This poem hung in Mom's home for years. We all read it. We 10 girls aspired to it, and the boys hoped to find someone close to this, someone like their own mother. Headband made and worn by Grandma Wido for a wedding she helped cater. Hospitality. We grew up in a home where there was always enough to eat, no matter the time of year or who was sitting at Mom's kitchen table. There was always at least a main course, a vegetable, a salad, and a bread. Mom learned this from her mother. Regardless of the situation, we always seemed to have an abundance. Roll warmer, made by Grandma Wido. 3 white dresses. Mom made so many of our dresses and outfits, especially when we were young. Following tradition, Natalie Ann Blackburn's baby dress and baptism dress was made from this white eyelet. Dad's handkerchief. Dad was and is so loving and caring. I remember being very little and my head hurt so much. As a little girl, I thought I had a ball in my head and it was trying to bounce out. I fell asleep on the couch and Dad picked me up to bring me to bed. His arms felt so warm and strong. I felt his love. For me, I know there were times Dad made me cry. He was not always gentle, but the hard memories have been wiped away by his soft embraces. One of my earliest memories was crying at a funeral and Dad leaning over and handing me one of his handkerchiefs. I was 8. The kitty quilt. Mom made this quilt before she was married. It was made up of different blocks with embroidered kittens on them. Many of Mom's babies were wrapped up and snuggled in it. The art of hand art. Whether we liked it or not, whether we were good at it or not, we all, well at least the girls, spent hours learning how to and making pieces of art with cloth, yarn, needles, and thread, and we passed the same tradition to our girls. Cloth hanky from Great-Grandma Virginia. Cloth hankies represent a different time, when ladies wore dresses and lipstick, where gentlemen carried a hanky in their back pocket, where women were ladies and men were gentlemen. A linen napkin from Grandma Wido. Table scarf, one of Mom's girls embroidered. We grew up hearing the stories of Grandma Wido's Christmas Eve spread of food, and Mom did the same for us. Turkeys, crackers, cheese, chocolates, pumpkin roll, cream cheese pie, the list and the table went on and on. Put it to good use. When one of Mom's grandsons, Andrew, was little, he couldn't sleep unless he had a sheet next to his face. Crystal gave him a pillowcase to hold on to when he went to sleep. With one pillowcase under his head and another in his hand and over his face, little Andrew could finally fall to sleep. In a few days, Andrew was dragging his pillowcase everywhere. One of the wedding cases Grandma A gave Crystal was his favorite. After a while, it became inconvenient to carry, so Andrew placed it on his head like a turban. That pillowcase was literally loved to death, just like Grandma A would have wanted. It was put to good use. Many of us have a treasured set of pillowcases from Grandma A, one of many hankies made for the Relief Society sisters. Mom, Grandma A, Grandma Wido, and many of their ancestors and daughters spent numberless hours serving and caring for their sisters in the gospel. She wore blue velvet. Mom made a blue satin dress for prom and her high school graduation. These are pieces from the jacket she wore with the dress. Dad, always a romantic, serenaded her with his guitar and sang Blue Velvet. As children, we could not imagine a love story as sweet as our own parents' was. Grandma A's trip. We loved hearing the story of Grandma A visiting the Holy Land and riding on a camel. She brought back trinkets that many of us still treasure. This is a section of a scarf that Grandma A got in Spain and brought back for Mom. Hidden in Grandma's closet is a treasure for all to share. It represents a legacy of loving hands worn with work and care. Each carefully folded item has its own hidden story there, a precious memory, each piece a private prayer. Handed from mother to daughter, written on our souls, passing on a heritage of living committed to an eternal goal.